Well, the Associated Press has shocked us all by ranking the Cowboys number 17 to begin the season, one spot above the coaches poll. And yes, it is important. Yes, it does matter, but maybe not for all the reasons we think.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more. As playoffs wind down and the summer heats up, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. There's something in this for everyone, every day, all summer long. Make sure you visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get started in the conversation of football. But of course, the polls have come out. And we'd previously discussed if you thought there was going to be a big discrepancy between the AP poll and the coaches poll. Well, the AP poll has come out. And yes, this crazy dude with a beard and a prosthetic named Bob back here am in fact claiming that being ranked number 17 in the AP poll is a very big deal, a much bigger deal than maybe it appears on the outside. Naturally, if you don't start in or around the top 25, it could make the climb at the end of the season to win a national title or even get to a national title very difficult. Is a national title crazy? Sure it is. But so is having 21 starters and 90% of your roster returning. That's crazy too. And no, don't try to compare us to like a Virginia Tech that also returns around 20 starters off of a barely above 500 ball club that lost to teams like Rutgers, Purdue, and Marshall. I understand that we lost to South Alabama, so make sure that you all throw as much shade at us as possible because that part is fair. But I'm also fairly sure that someone out there is saying, throw that out. Throw the South Alabama game. Bring it on. Just like I'm fairly sure people out there are saying, look at this O-State dude pretending that number 17 is a big deal. Or how insignificant is Oklahoma State that their fans are so mid that they get excited about being number 17. Okay, but it is a big deal. But not because of the number, but because of the publication. And we just did the show on this very thing. And I asked y'all if there was any chance that the regulators or the YouTube side of people could let me know down in the comment section, did you think that the AP rank was going to be better than the coaches poll? Well, by and large, that's not the case. The AP poll is typically quite a ways behind the coaches poll as it pertains to Oklahoma State and the Big 12. Well, the overwhelming majority of y'all agreed and thought that the AP would have us lower. So if the coaches has 18, we'd probably end up at 19 or 20. But here we are. This is the season of capitalization primarily due to perception. There it is. The national perception of Oklahoma State is improving. But if we end up with another 9-4, 10-3 type of season, then most everybody around the country will go right back to, well, Oklahoma State, they're just not quite there. Again, that classification. But if we do, however, win a Big 12 title and make a college football playoff run, then it's more like, oh, crap, I guess Oklahoma State is actually for real now, huh? That type of designation is put on us instead. This includes things like recruiting and retention of roster and staff, on top of much more dollar bills from donors to keep this NIL thing going. So it's not hyperbole. It's not clickbait. It's not for ratings. When I say repeatedly that I think this is the biggest year of all time at Oklahoma State for the trajectory and the perception. That's why this ranking does in fact matter. Traditionally, Oklahoma State gets bumped down by the AP. Not really ever do we go up. It's only one spot, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But when you're looking to be the flag bearer in the face of the conference, this is that season of capitalization that I think even the Associated Press is looking for. If we have a big season, then we start beginning the season in the top 15 more often than not. We all talk a very fair amount of crap towards Texas because they're ranked and given extra mulligans anytime they win a game just because of the perception that is always swirling around them as well. With so much talent, if they can ever do X, Y, or Z, then they'll rule the college football world. as infuriating as it was to see that year after year after year and hear it, even if they were to barely beat KU, wouldn't it kind of be cool sometimes? Wouldn't it kind of be cool to start the year with that much positive perception, even if it's unwarranted, as opposed to the opposite, always having to rise from the bottom to fight perception? Of course, it's fun. It makes a cool story, but also having some of the benefits occasionally that Texas get because of the perception, that would be kind of nice too. To me, this is that season, the season to break the door of perception wide open. Guys, if freshman Lando Cleveland or guys like David Kabongo or Ollie Gordon would have committed to Texas, they would have all been upgraded to 5 stars. I think we're good enough to get a little charge in the recruiting rankings if we can make this perception more of a reality. Freshman All-American linebacker Colin Oliver, just a couple of years ago, I think showed all of us that we can get big-time guys and we can do big-time things. Now we just have to kind of hammer it home. So speaking of Colin Oliver, let's go over some of the awards or the watch list guys that have been set aside thus far. Of course, Colin Oliver's been put up alongside 2023 All-American middle linebacker Nick Martin. They're both up for the Butkus Award, best linebacker in America. Our center, Joe Mahalski, is up for the Remington Award, obviously the best center in the country. Slot receiver Brennan Presley and Cowboy veteran Swiss Army knife wideout Rashad Owens are both up for the Blitnikoff Award, best wide receiver in the country. Linebacker Justin Wright and wide receiver DeJon Stribling are both up for the Comeback Player of the Year. Ollie Gordon is up for the Doak Walker Award, of course, best running back in America. Walter Camp Player of the Year Award, and, of course, a Heisman hopeful. Then you have Brennan Presley coming up on the Paul Hornung Most Versatile Player in America watch list. And then you got Alan Bowman with the Danny Warfel Trophy list. And then lastly, Nick Martin and Colin Oliver again, but this time on the Bronco Nagurski Top Defensive Player in America list. So those are some of the things that I find pretty important pertaining to the AP poll and the coaches poll and how it all kind of shakes out on top of some of the awards that we have going out, or preseason award watch list for some of these dudes. We've got several more to talk about, including some of the guys that continue to make a name for themselves that we all need to pay a little bit more attention to. Before we do that, I have to tell y'all that FanDuel is the right ticket for you to make the most amount of money physically possible in this capitalization season. They know that sports aren't giving us exactly what we're used to, especially with football right around the corner. And we get fewer sports, fewer games during the summer. So FanDuel is hooking up everybody with a massive opportunity. You just dream up the bet, open the app, and make it happen. This summer, FanDuel's hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. So there's something in this for everyone every day all summer long. Make sure that you head on over to FanDuel.com to start making the most out of your financial summer, because FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the Major League Baseball, Cowboy football. Go hammer the over. It's 8.5, 7.5, 9.5. Doesn't matter. Okay. Hammer the over. And the reason it doesn't matter is because of the depth. The depth that we have is abnormal, of course. It puts us in a very rare position. But as we look for some of these guys, we didn't get to see enough of them in, like, say, spring game, which would be nice, where we could all collectively witness some of these dudes doing things together, seeing all these freshmen and how they stack up against some of the known already All-American level commodities would be nice. I mean, wouldn't it be pretty cool to see a 6'3", 215-pound freshman linebacker go head-to-head with a 6'3", 240-pound sophomore that's already been through an entire Power 4 offseason or 2 Power 4 off seasons? That's how us fans can get a little bit more excited about the young guys and follow them a little bit closely, right? It makes it kind of one of those, oh, I remember seeing him a couple years in the spring game type of things. It makes it way more awesome when that kid you saw a few years ago is now starting or having the potential all Big 12 type of season. It does allow us all to get a little bit closer to growth of the team. There's a few more guys that we should all pay attention to. So since we don't get a spring game, let's talk about them here. So yesterday, of course, we talked about some of the freshmen and the wide receiver that's screaming up the depth chart, and Io Shotomide King. So today, let me give you a linebacker that has a passion for football that is literally just oozing out of his eyeballs, and that is 6 foot, 225, wearing number 25-pound redshirt freshman linebacker Ike Esonwune. The dude is all over the field. He's relentless. He has a very high motor, more like the annoying motor, when you're trying to get your little brother to calm down. It's that style of thing for Ike Esonwune. It's just because he loves the game that daggone much, and it's very evident on the field, which is why he's getting more opportunities now. Guys, Corey Black. Corey Black is the name in the Big 12 that I don't think anybody knows about, but will by the end of the season. He's been playing significantly, if not starting, since he was a redshirt freshman, beginning of his early Cowboy career. He was already making plays. But then he went through a phase there, I think, where he got by with some of the ticky-tacky fouls. And, that led to kind of a negative connotation placed upon him. Well, now that we know he is the fastest player on the team, easily the fastest player on the defense, I think this is another point of maturation for Corey Black, and we're finally all going to see it put together this year on the field. Another young cat that everyone needs to pay a little bit of attention to. I think he's got a while, right, before he's officially on the come-up game, but he's getting pretty daggone close right now, and that is Landon Dean, number 88, 6'5", 275-pound defensive end from Frontenac, Kansas. Guys, if Brock Martin was, let's say, 2 inches taller, all right, and about 5 to 6/10 faster, he would basically be Landon Dean, like the hunting, fishing, bull riding, wrestling type of dude that a program like Oklahoma State could never continue to be as successful without these type of dudes. I think Landon Dean is one of those guys. Of course, Sesi Velahe is significantly ahead of where he was supposed to be at this point in time, because at this point in time, a lot of us were ready to lean on AJ Green being that lightning package to the Ollie Thunder. But ladies and gentlemen, our guys cannot seem to stop Trent Howland on a consistent basis. I mean, he runs over 80% of linebackers because he's 80% bigger than most linebackers. If you want to say that Oklahoma State defensively last year couldn't stop the pass, okay, that's fair. So if you wanted to say that if our secondary was getting burnt or vice versa doing really good, maybe it doesn't mean as much. Okay, I'll go down that rabbit hole with you. And just for the sake of argument, I'll say, okay, cool. But then I have to turn it on its head and say, stopping the run in Stillwater is not an issue, especially last season. Guys, we had a defense that got to take out guys like Taj Brooks, Devin Neal, RJ Harvey, DJ Giddens, Jonathan Brooks, and Corey Kiner. I'm pretty positive that stopping the run is not an issue whatsoever right now in Stillwater. Yet, we're getting tested fairly regularly by Trent Howland. Not to mention that these dudes have to face the best running back in the country literally every day in practice anyways, in Ollie Gordon. So I'm just saying that if we all know how borderline impossible it is to tackle Ollie, or they know how borderline impossible it is to tackle Ollie, then anyone who isn't Ollie should be pretty manageable. Like all of those All-American, All-Conference running backs we just named, that defense was able to shut them down last year. But we're having a hard time with Trent Howland. So some people outside of the Big 12 and some in it are laughing that our quarterback play isn't good enough to do anything very special with. Those are likely the same exact people who are thinking that without Ollie Gordon, we turn into nothing. Those are the same people that are about to watch Trent Howland and Sesi Velahe put up over 100 yards multiple times throughout the course of the season. Because anytime Ollie Gordon needs a little bit of a break, we're fine. Because Trent Howland is that big of a beast on the football field. He would have been regardless of whether he ended up at Oklahoma State or not. So having 2 100-yard rushers seems pretty likely to me at some point in time in the season. And even if, God forbid, Ollie had a slight hip sprain, ankle sprain type of thing that would maybe cost him a few weeks, it's okay. Because we have Trent Howland and Sesi. Guys, I'm not discounting the fact that, we need to be ready for South Dakota State, Arkansas, and Tulsa. But I think we're going to be fine even if Ollie were to be missing any games, because those three can't be stopped on a daily basis. They couldn't be stopped if he was at Indiana with the Indiana offensive line, which wasn't a bad O-line, but they aren't returning over 200 starts. Guys, our O-line is like a cheat code that's not even fair. Trent Howland will rush for over 100 yards in week 1. Mark it down, take it to the bank, and take my money. This whole idea that the running back room is going to have any difficulties is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. So regardless of what you're hearing, at the end of the day, we're going to be fine. Now, if there's still a lingering issue after the Tulsa game, okay, fine. Then I think as a fan base, it's fair to have a little bit more of a knee-jerk reaction. But in this day and age, you want to be able to have quality reps given to the backups no matter what happens, so you're always prepared. So I think we've done a very good job, not only in the spring, but in the fall, in management of the running back numbers and the situation that we're in, including sprinkling in some St. Fleurs or some Kyler Pearson to get some extra packaging. This is another reason why I think it's fair to lean on the idea that we're going to be passing the ball. If teams are forced to load the box to stop Ollie or Trent or Sessi or whomever, then that's going to allow more capabilities in the back end. And guys, we have so much talent at wide receiver. Maybe numerically, we might be a little off, but talent-wise, we're going to be able to go 5 wide. Not only that, I think just to be able to get Brennan Presley, DeJuan Lofton, and Gavin Freeman all in the field at the same time to go alongside Rashad Owens, you're going to have to do some 4 wide, 5 wide scenarios, which I think is perfect for the quarterbacks that everyone in the country seems to be continuously doubting. They're going to have an ample opportunity to air it out a little bit more to make their presence felt, whether it be week 1, 2, 3. I think those first few weeks, no matter who's at running back, we should still lean on the run game. But the fact that we can open up the passing game with that offensive line, with that plethora of talent at the wide receiver position, it does give us much more flexibility than most around the country are pretending. Again, there's this thing being pushed out there that Oklahoma State is only as good as Ollie Gordon. Well, hopefully, we don't get to find out that that's not the case, but I feel pretty confident in saying that that's not the case. If Ollie Gordon wasn't even on the roster, I think this team is still good enough to win at least 10 games in a very difficult conference. That is, to me, another indication of just the talent we have and why people should be calming down. Although we should be getting pretty excited, right? We should be hearing about some more commits here before too daggone long. So why not take a peek into the future at some possible future commits? But before we do that, I got to remind you, you can't be the MVP of anything if you can't get there. AKA eBay Motors is who you need to have to keep your ride or die rig alive. The formula to winning championships starts with your vehicle, and eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and keep it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, LED lighting kits, exhaust, speed, power, style, doesn't matter. eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit the rig every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, we want you burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, all the prices you want, it is very easy to turn your car into the MVP today. Bring home your next big W at eBay Motors. Keep your ride or die rig alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers because we are special. Just like I think it would be very special if we were to start hearing some things about maybe some of the 2026 class guys, because it is happening. There are 2026 class guys committing all across the country. So I figured, why not take a gander at who I would view as the top 5 guys that I would love in the 2026 class to commit this weekend or tomorrow or whenever. Number 5, a legacy. Not only a legacy, but a Dell City Okie with a dad that was a legendary Cowboy in the beginning of the come up in Stillwater, right? You're thinking old school, before Mike Gundy was the head coach days. Rickland Holmes II. Rickland's dad, the original Cowboy, was one of the first ever Super Prep Texas top 100 dudes to ever come to Oklahoma State. And he chose us over Kentucky and other Big 12 schools. That Rickland Holmes has created this Rickland Holmes II, who is 6 foot, 210 pounds. He's a 3-sport athlete with a 3.7 GPA. He's a certified Dell City killer on the field. He's a killer in the classroom, and he's a killer on the mat. The wrestling mat, that is, the sport that Mike Gundy secretly loves more than football. If we can get Rodney Fields and LaDainian Fields from Dell City, then we better be able to put the ultimate court press on for this Rickland Holmes II to become a Cowboy. Number 4 on my list is going to be Kevin Ford Jr. Kevin Ford is a 6'3", 225-pound defensive end out of Duncanville, Texas. Duncanville needs no introduction. One of the things that, is brought up most often when covering 7-on-7 and doing some of the traveling stuff in the state of Texas is Duncanville. This has been this way for a long time. If you can get a kid this explosive from Duncanville High School, it means that any development automatically is much more simplistic. The training, the toughness, they're already off the charts with this kid, meaning you're getting someone that could easily contribute right away that doesn't need, a couple years of development, body by glass, all that. So for that reason, I'll put Kevin Ford Jr., number 4 on my list here. Number 3, a tight end from Kansas, 4-star tight end at 6'5", 215 pounds from Great Bend, Ian Primer. This would be only the second year in a row that we've really gone after some legitimate day one starting level tight ends. After grabbing 2 out of this previous class, that both, I think, Jordan Verborny and Tanner Butler are going to be pretty big time at Oklahoma State. So I want to see us follow that up. I want to see a legitimate dedication to the tight end position. I think getting somebody like Ian would validate that. Number 2, going back to linebacker, 6'1", 210-pound linebacker out of Grapevine, Texas, Tatum Evans. Tatum Evans, had a somewhat pedestrian, almost 70 tackles last year, 5 tackles for loss, multiple quarterback pressures, only as a sophomore. And, he's working out right now with Donnie Baggs, the great Donnie Baggs, the legend, who has helped several current Big 12 linebackers, is turning Tatum Evans into an athletic specimen. He's got interest from teams like TCU and Notre Dame. So hopefully, if Oklahoma State were to get in on this Tatum Evans train, we would get out in front of it early and as often as possible, a.k.a. right about now. Number 1 on the list, we're going to go back to the legacy farm for Tatum Deuce Bell. Now, you already know I've covered how big of a deal it would be to get Deuce, the 5'10", 175-pound, the wide receiver, a true wide receiver that can create separation by attacking DBs so quickly they get out of their breaks way too late. That's a skill in and of itself. Being fast is cool, but being able to utilize your speed and make it tangible on a football field to screw with the DB, that's something that Tatum Deuce Bell already does at a very, very advanced level. And let's face it, guys, if you cannot get the top legacies, then you can't keep this Cowboy culture thing cultivated and going the right way forever. I know a lot of people, try to give the Shobles a hard time, but I think of it from the Tatum Deuce Bell perspective, right? If we were to lose out on Tatum Deuce Bell, it would be a lot like TCU losing out on multiple legacy family member dudes. So I'm okay with them going to TCU. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. I understand it. And I know how I would feel if the feeling was in reverse. You know what I mean? But I will say when it comes to Tatum, Texas Tech and Houston have done a phenomenal job recruiting him. And, they put a large emphasis even making time for his sister, Taylor Bell. which I do know at the end of the day is pretty important. So, Dave Smith, make sure you don't drop the ball here, buddy. Let's get Tatum, Deuce, Bell where he belongs as a Cowboy in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Because I don't know how many games I could watching people like Tatum, Deuce, Bell, or Rickland Holmes, or Reggie White, Reggie CO, C6. I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably break my TV, and I don't want to do that. So here's to us not breaking TVs this season. Let's get some of these 2026 guys coming in here before too long to build off of the excitement that is going to be this 2024 football season. Big 12 title, CFP, bring it on. And then we should see a boost in recruiting. If we're seeing a little bit of a benefit now in the AP poll, that perception is changing a little bit. Is this the season that we capitalize on this tilt in perception? I feel like it is. All righty, y'all. Thank you for everyone who stuck around for the last one. Matter of fact, for those of you who stuck around to the end, make sure that you go type 3 in the comment section, because from what I gathered today, it might be the only amount of time we're going to be out a particular big-time player. All righty, y'all. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Shout out to my regulators, a.k.a. the regulars. Like, share, comment, subscribe. More importantly, my podcasting people out there. You're the bricks, the bread, the butter, the foundation, the awesome sauce. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. Until next time, that is all. Later, my taters.